Hello, my net deckers. I'm back here with my friend Kenny. And what'd you do today?
I went undefeated until last round, so I went 5-1 and secured second place and my nationals invite.
At our night and day
64-person regional qualifier.
Oh, so what deck did you play?
So I played Zoro. Which,
okay.
yeah, I think I'd like to start off this video by saying that I'm not a Zoro player.
Okay, so what inspired you to play Zoro?
Well, I've never played Zoro, but I feel like right now in the meta, the black decks have become kind of parasitic in the sense that they are including a lot of like big no counter cards to win the mid-range matchup. And when they're putting those in, they're like, I just don't have to worry about Zoro anymore. I don't have to worry about Reiju. They're not topping. Okay. But I showed up today to show them that they do have to worry about Zoro.
Okay.
So I think it was just a really solid meta call for our tournament today. I saw a lot of Lucci, and I beat almost all the black players.
That's crazy. I did not see a single Lucci today. Unlucky. Anyway, go ahead.
So I think pretty commonplace now is the animal package for Zoro. So these are your 2Ks. They can also come in off of this Tony Chopper when you hit it off of Shut Up and Come With Us, or off of your 3-drop. So it's just insane having the ability to kind of pivot in your matchups of, do I need the board presence or do I need a 2K in hand? And you're always in charge of making that decision. Against a lot of the black decks, this ability to just off of one card deploy 2 bodies that are very threatening is just insane. And it was insane all day. So that's a really tight package. These are the only hits off of this chopper, but it was pretty easy to find them.
Okay.
Especially off of your searchers. And then the best part of the animal package is, of course, the new Tony Chopper, Drum Kingdom. So on ETB and attacking, you look at the top 5 and you can put in an animal that has 4K power less. That includes this Tony Chopper. That includes Extra Booster Tony Chopper, any of these animals. And the field swarming that this card provides cannot be understated. Decks right now are just not prepared to handle 4 bodies on board when they're going to 6 Dawn. It's just really tough. And even the black decks, you're basically saying, I am demanding Lucci's, ways to reduce cost every single turn, or you are going to get swarmed out of the game. And then also in the package, here's your Extra Booster Chopper. This card, I kind of assumed was just in it because it was another Tony Chopper name. And its effect is kind of good, but do you really need a blocker in Zoro? But this card is just insane. I think into Bonnie, the Dawn 2, reducing kids down to 5Ks, reducing blockers so they can't block with the Sabo and keep it around. They really have to make those decisions. And the ability to have a blocker that you can surprise an opponent with off of Just Shut Up is insane. In my round 4 against Lucci, he had very good numbers to kill me, and I was able to just shut up, get a blocker chopper untapped, and now he has to recalculate his entire turn and figure out if he can still kill me, which he couldn't, or if he's got to redirect what resources he has left to developing or hurting my board. So just a really insane card all around. And then, of course, the star of the show, Just Shut Up and With Us, or Come With Us. This card's insane. Counter, look at the top 5. You get any animal that costs 3 or less. So that includes this full suite. Obviously, your best hit is here, but like I said, you can hit this as a surprise blocker. But the best part about this card is that if your numbers are good enough on your turn and you can leave 1 Dawn open, it is a tremendous threat. And it makes your opponent really think about how they have to attack that turn and what they can attack into. Especially against Lucci, 1 open Dawn can just kill them if they don't play correctly, even if you don't have the event.
You could be like me and you just attack into it anyway. And
just no fear.
Just lose on turn 2.
So that's the animal package. For the more generic package, but it does kind of tie together, you have 4 Namis, obviously insane. That finds your 3-drop Searcher Choppers. It finds your Just Shut Up and Come With Us. And it is a body that was Zoro, only takes 2 Dawn to swing for 5. Kureha is a little bit worse. I would say I never miss on Nami, and you will miss on Kureha. But I think you do have to play the 8 because when you go first, your 1 Dawn turn, if you don't have one of your power 3 drops in Zoro or Chopper that swarms the board, you have to be able to find them. And playing 8 searchers makes a lot more hands, a lot more keepable.
Can you remind us what the Curry House searches for?
Yeah, definitely. So it looks at top 4 instead of top 5, which kind of hurts. Yeah, but it can find any Tony Chopper and Drum Kingdom other than herself. So unfortunately, she really... what does she find? She misses on some of the animal package. She can't get any of your 2Ks. I'm sorry, she can get Hiking Bear, she can't get Spot Build. So she has less hits in the deck. She also can't get any of your straw package like Zoros or anything. So I definitely missed on her a couple times, but...
Did it end up mattering?
No, it didn't end up mattering. And when you are missing your 3-drop and you find it off a Kureha or you find it Just Shut Up and Come With Us, you just feel like so much... You feel in such a better position for the rest of the game. So those are your searchers. You play 8. And then you have 4 Rush Zoro, tried and true, especially with leader. 1 Dawn on leader, he's swinging for 6. Only 1 other Dawn investment, and he's swinging for 7, which is just an insane break point. Kid and Killer, kind of an upgrade, kind of a downgrade on Zoro. For 4, you get a 5k rusher, but if your opponent is a 2 or less, he is +2. So with leader having a Dawn, he swings for 8. And he is also just really insane, especially against like Black Yellow Luffy, because they're basically always floating at 2.
Yeah.
He's always online, and he is just such a good number to present at any point in the game. And then on to some of, I guess, the more tech choices that I made. The first one is, instead of, I think, the more commonly played 3-drop Chopper that's a 4K and on attack with a Dawn, you can discard a card, get back a Straw Hat. I chose to play Robson or Mudang. I love Mudang.
We're not chronically online, so
we're not chronically online.
No idea what you're talking about.
No idea. He was insane. He did actually win me a game against Black Yellow Luffy that I wouldn't have won without this exact stat line. So for 2 Dawn, with 2 Dawn on him, he has Rush. So he is less efficient than Zoro, but only by 1,000. But he can also counter, which comes up. But yeah, just having 2 extra rushers in your deck, I think, makes the cut for this slot.
And this is also searchable or something?
He is also searchable, yeah. He's Drum Kingdom, so you can find him off of your both searchers.
Okay.
You can also pull him off of Just Shut Up, and he's a 4K, which can be ripped off of your 3-drop Chopper. So he fits in the deck super, super well. One of the other tech choices I made for my 9th and 10th 2K was actually Sanji. I think Sanji is insane in Zoro right now, just because for 2, you are threatening 8k, which is crazy for 2 mana, and especially in matchups like Nami. You're super favored in Nami, and you should never lose that matchup, but he removes the ability to lose the matchup, because you can just take life, make sure you see all your cards, and swing terrific numbers into the matchup.
Was 2 enough?
2 was perfect. I don't want 12 2Ks because I feel like it hurts the density of threats in my deck. But being a 2K that is also a threat is very nice. The other issue is he's not searchable off of Kureha, but he is searchable off Nami, which is terrific. So I definitely recommend 2 of these as your 9th and 10th. And then on to my last 6 cards. I knew our meta, and I think metas in general everywhere, are pretty dominated by black decks. Lucci's Black Yellow Luffy, the random Gecko Moria you might run into.
ST Luffy.
ST Luffy, yeah, that's a big one. And I wanted to make sure that I wasn't so reliant on just 1 or 2 Diable Jambres. I wanted to, because this deck is very, very good at getting your opponent to 0. You have so many curves that just put them on 0, and there's not a lot they can do about it. So to make sure I could deal that last bit of life, I also included 2 Nico Robins.
Oh, nice.
So tutorable off Nami, which is really terrific. Counters for 1k, so not dead. But on ETB, she's a 2k that KOs a 0 power. So there are 2 cool things. The main one is that for 1 mana, I can kill a Rebecca. That's the role of this card, and it comes up a ton. And it's always very good, especially because you're deploying a body in like a Lucci matchup that they have to worry about the next turn, and you're getting rid of their blocker. which means they don't just get to save one attack for free. But the other cool thing, and why this chopper just ended up coming up so much in every game, you also have the option to give minus 3k. So there are some situations where like 3 or lesses, you can attack with this chopper, reduce them, and then pop them to Nico if they go to 0, which is really great because sometimes searchers like GARPs, things like that, are just good enough on board to be able to start threatening your 3Ks and 4Ks with minimal Dawn investment. So being able to clear those with these does come up. And if you have 2 of the chopper and suddenly you're reducing for 6, you can attack, and then Nico and kill a Rob Lucci. And at that point, you've swung for 7 twice and killed their threat that they need to swing back. So Nico Robin was great. I will say, if I was looking to cut a card to find more room for something, this is probably the card that would be on the chopping block. Just because she doesn't really do anything other than the Rebecca plays, but when it comes up, it's really important. And then for the last 4, I'm playing 2 Diable Jambes, just obviously black decks get to 1 or 0 life, and then they just want to deploy Rebecca, get back Sabo, play Sabo, wall up. Diable Jambe, play for 1, suddenly your leader's 14, kill him. So of course you want to play those, but on top of that, instead of playing Monkey D Dragon, which I found to be very dead in hand most of the game, and a lot of times by the time I could play him, he felt very inefficient in a lot of board states where I could just deploy smaller threats and get wider boards. So what I ended up opting to play was Starter Monkey, tried and true. I love my Luffy, Luffy, as our friend says. But this one has been around since like it got printed. This does the same thing as Giambe, just at a worse rate. So if they have Sabo, Rebecca, you can still deploy this for 5 mana, or 5 Dawn, and then you can suit them up with the other 5, and you can crash for 11. So it is less than Diable Jambe on leader, but it is still really good. What I liked about this is in the other matchups where I didn't need a finisher, and I knew they weren't going to win by deploying blockers that stop me, he is just a 5 for 6 rusher. So especially if you have 1 Dawn investment on your leader, he's a 5 for 7, which is a great break point in every matchup. But that's the deck. Yeah, I feel like between the 6 tech choices I made here, I was incredibly good into Lucci, which is what the bulk of our meta ended up being.
That's surprising.
Very good into Lucci. I think the Lucci games that I lose, and there's not a ton you can do about it, is when they have like Ice Ages and Tempest kicks sequentially in life, and they just end up, you know, you're swinging in with 4 guys that turn, suddenly you're only swinging in with 2 guys, and then they finish off your other 2 on their turn. It's just really rough. But unless they hit very well like that, or they have the perfect answer, as in they take first from you and they curve Brook into Lucci, removing 2 guys, into Jack.
So you want to go first against Lucci?
You do want to go first against Lucci,
okay.
Yeah. Because I feel like you threaten so much better going first, and you're very good going first at getting them to 0 life. And at that point, you have 4 cards that kill when they're at 0 life most of the time. And then sometimes they can't go Sabo Rebecca, they just go Rebecca. And Nico Robin can just finish them off at 0-2.
Can you recap us on what your matchups were?
Yeah. So round 1, I played against Red Yellow Sabo, which ironically I think was probably my hardest matchup all day, just because I have not played into the deck at all. I did not know what cards they were playing. But that matchup was actually pretty cool because with Sabo's ability, they get to put face up into life. So on the last turn of the game, I knew he had no cards in hand, and I knew exactly what his life was. So I was able to perfect attack 5k, because he had no counter into a 2 counter, so the 5s were free, and then with the 2 counter, I was able to send a 7, and then I was able to send a 9, so even if he hit another 2k, he was dead. After that, I played against Nami. I would say that's your auto win of the format. You just send 7s and 9s.
Shout out to our friend Eric.
Shout out to our friend Eric. He's a
who
good
actually
guy.
got top 4.
Yeah, which is awesome.
Nami.
Yeah, I think both the people I beat today, or 2 of the people I beat today, ended up being in top 4 anyway. So I think we were all just playing out of our minds, which was great. But yeah, the Nami matchup, you just swing 7s and 9s, and then you can kind of fish their hand as you attack to see, because like if you swing with a 7 first and they play a 4K to block a 7, you know that they only have 4Ks. And from there, you can start swinging 9s, or you can keep swinging 7s just to get the 4Ks out so that you can swing 5s for free. But it's just very, very good math for your deck, and they can't deal with your board ever. So you build a board very quick, and then from that point, you just protect the one guy they can swing into with Nami each turn, and you develop, or you put all your Dawn on your guys every turn. And at that point, you're just saving a ton of mana and still threatening a ton of damage. Round 3, I played against Black Yellow Luffy, who also top 4'd, I believe. That's probably your hardest matchup. So every other deck in the format with Zoro, you can get a very good vibe of what is in their hand based on the context of which attacks they're blocking, how they're blocking the attacks, or if they're not blocking at all. Into Black Yellow Luffy, you basically have none of that, because they can just pitch whatever they want in hand, whatever is the best for them, and it's very hard to read what they're going to do after they block with whatever they block with. Because even if they block with babies, it's like they might be setting up a Gecko Moria, or if they block with 2Ks on 5s and 6s, it's like, well, they might still just be trying to preserve X amount of life. They might have an Awakener. It's very contextual, and I think the issue when I play it is that starting on like turn 4, you basically are always put in a 50-50 situation of if you should put them to 0 and put all your Dion on your guys, put them to 0, and hope that they don't have a Gecko or babies in hand, or you leave them at 1, make the biggest and strongest board you can for the next turn, and hope they can't awaken. But basically, you're picking one of those, and you're either right or you're wrong, and the match is going to depend on that. But I think starting on the first 50-50, you usually have like 3 50-50s total. So you have one turn with a 50-50, another turn with a 50-50, and another turn 50-50. You have to lose like all 3 to really like lose. And then depending on how good their draw is, if you lose 2, sometimes you still lose. But if you get like 2 of the 50-50s right, you can't lose. The matchup's really good.
I think so too. I think it was really hard when we were playing some test games.
Yeah, and especially with the Robinson, the Mudang, having that extra rush capability helps a lot in that matchup too. It puts it in a position where if they ever miss double 2K plus to leader, or they only have 1 2K plus to leader, just having more bodies to threaten 7s or 8s to get cards out of their hand, it really becomes an attrition match. It almost becomes like a black versus black matchup of like, you're trying to keep as many cards in your hand so they can't just kill you out of nowhere, and you're trying to get as many cards out of their hand so you know exactly how you can kill them, or if you can.
Yeah.
So I won that one. Round 4, I played against Lucci. Yeah, that was on camera. I played against Lucci. I had a sick play on the end. He ended up, he decided to go for numbers and try to kill me, which I think he had to in that position. He was at 0 life, and I had, I think, 1 card in hand at the start of the turn, or 2 cards in hand, and 3 life. And on his second to last Gecko Moria swing, I was able to play Shut Up and Come With Us and hit Blocker Chopper. And at that point, he could not threaten lethal. So he had to spend Dawn to kill the Chopper to get the attack in, which was enough for me to counter. My last life ended up being another 2K, so I would have been fine anyway, luckily. Very lucky. I was set up both ways. But yeah, that's some of the stuff you can do where you put your opponent in a position where they think, I have to kill them or they're going to kill me, and you surprise them with a blocker, or you just end up having a handful of 2Ks, and then there's just no hope. And then round 5, unfortunately, played against Black Yellow Luffy, and he had a game lost due to deck registration. So that was rough, but we've tested the matchup. It's a good matchup.
Yeah.
And then round 6, I ended up losing in finals to Black Yellow Luffy.
Finally got him.
Yeah, so I feel very confident into Lucci. I feel not so confident into Black Yellow, depending on what their
As
draws
soon
are.
as he buffed himself to 9 2 turns in a row.
It was too tough.
That's
Yeah.
crazy that you played against 3 Black Yellow Luffys, even though our local meta is actually all Luccis.
Yeah, I think our room was like 70% Lucci's, and I hit all the Black Yellow Luffys. But yeah, like I said, Black Yellow Luffy is a very winnable matchup. You have to play in such a different way. So if you're looking to pick up the deck, I would recommend hopping on Sim and testing that matchup a ton, because there are some reads you can get, and there are some flowchart-esque numbers that you should always be swinging for. But sometimes they just have a bunch of Rocket Luffys and a bunch of Baby Luffys, and they wipe your board and draw cards, and you can't kill them. There's just not much you can do. But yeah,
Can we see some of your loot that you got?
Yes, I got some epic loot. Yeah, I was able to get a finalist pack. I was able to get these sleeves, which I think these are going to be very sick for Blackbeard and OPO9.
Oh, is that what you're going to be playing?
I think so. I think so. And then I got 2 packs. Do you want me to open them on camera? See
No,
what's
I
in
mean,
them?
if you want to. Just keep them sealed for now.
I'll keep them sealed.
Anyway, congratulations, Kenny.
Thank you. I locked in my invite. I am unexcited to go to Florida during January, but
He'll see you there.
I'll see you there.
He'll see you there for all the Zoro players. Thank you, and subscribe. And like.